So if you have ever been fired, or maybe you were just recently fired, or maybe you're about to be fired, then this video is for you.
Anything I do it. Ain't nothing to it, just do it. Checks cause I influence. Bank on flow, yeah, fluids. I go dumb, go stupid. But the whole house still roofless. Why you talking bad about me? New coupe, yeah, like a two-fist. Yeah, if you said that, shoot his air out. Talking on my back, try to tear me down. I just want M's, yeah, millions. Used to try and move at your granny house. Now I'm wearing brands that I can't pronounce. Money on the floor, try to make it bounce. Money in the safe, it's the safest route. Promise to my kids, I'ma make it out. I want M's by the gate slow. Get the millions and lay low. Take my what I'm gon' wait for. Put my bros on the payroll. Out of sight, out of mind, out my way. Out of sight, out of mind, out my way. Out of sight, out of mind, out my way. Out of sight, out of mind, out my way.
What's up, guys? It's your boy DJ Richie Scott back here on the Richie Scott in Real Life channel, where we discuss travel, lifestyle, and motivation. So today's video is going to be something that I have really kind of neglected to talk about in its entirety. I've somewhat mentioned this on my main channel, my news channel, and I've told, friends of mine about what's happened, but I've never really gone into great detail about how I was fired, okay? Now, what am I talking about? Yes, your boy has gotten the axe, okay? I did get fired from a news job, and we're gonna get all into the juicy details. But before we do that, if you guys like travel, lifestyle, and motivation, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so that you can get more of this content, okay? And again, these stories I tell you for motivational purposes, and you guys will understand why I'm telling you this story when we get to the end of the video. Trust and believe you're gonna wanna stick around for that. Okay, so let's get into it. This story starts when I was in LA. It was really, I was in my mind, I was on the precipice of greatness in LA. I really, really was. I was interviewing for a producer job at Disney. Yes, I had gone to about 2 or 3 interviews, and we were in the final process of getting this thing popping, when all of a sudden I am thrust into the world of Miami. Now, it's not really all of a sudden, but it's really more or less that I had gotten a gig with a pretty big organization to be an ambassador. And at the same time, I had a friend who was a producer for this show in Miami. So I said, you know what? This is about to be lit, because my friend had asked me to come down and do a guest co-hosting gig while I was in Miami. So I said, okay, well, I mean, why not? I mean, I had done hosting at AfterBuzz TV, and I was like, you know what? Let's continue this thing. Let's get it on and pop it in Miami. And then I was gonna be coming back to LA to find out whether or not I got the job at Disney, okay? So I get down to the Miami, baby, and it is hot. The parties are jumping, the events are popping, and it's lit, okay? So during the first day of my guest co-hosting gig, I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, I promoted the event that I was there for, and we talked about hot topics and whatnot. And then, I was on my way. So I get a call later on, and they asked me, hey, do you want to come back in tomorrow for another gig? I said, well, alrighty then, of course I will. Count count me in. So I come back the next day and I'm like, okay, this feels good. I like the people here. And you know, my friend looked out for me. So I was like, you know what? He's numero uno in my book, and still is to this day. So as I finish the second day of guest co-hosting, I'm asked by a part of the management team, hey, what would it take for you to move to Miami and come do this show full time? I said, well, I don't know, okay? This wasn't in my plans. I didn't know that I was about to leave LA because, again, I felt like I was on the precipice of greatness, okay? So I asked, let me think about it, okay? Let me think about it, because it's a huge decision, because I was literally feeling like I was about to really blast off in LA, but I was also really interested in Miami for a lot of different reasons, which I'll get to in a completely different video, right? But I was like, you know what? Miami, I feel like is where it's at. It's where it's gonna be at for me. But I was still on the verge of getting this job at Disney. So when I get back from Miami on Monday, I get an email from Disney and I find out you didn't get the job. So I was like, well, God, that's it. You know, I'm supposed to be in Miami. So what do you know? I pack up my bags. A month later, I'm in Miami. And I gotta tell y'all, this was the best decision I have made in my life, okay? One of the best decisions that I made in my life, because despite the fact that I felt like I was, again, on the precipice of greatness in LA, I needed a break from it, okay? LA is exhausting, especially if you work in the entertainment field. Miami, after leaving LA, honestly felt like a relief. I felt relieved to be in Miami. There is something sexy about Miami. There's something relaxing about Miami. There's something that just, to me, felt like recovery. I didn't have to be anything. I didn't have to go to a lot of industry events and feel like I gotta be around a bunch of, I mean, I hate to say it, sometimes you feel like you around some fake people, okay? I did get into sort of an event scene in Miami, but it felt better. It didn't feel like I had to be anything or kind of hobnob with a bunch of people that didn't really have any real interest in me. In Miami, I just felt very welcome. I felt very much like you're supposed to be here. And so it didn't hurt that the first day that I was there, I met a PR person who is very near and dear to me at this point. And she really looked out for me in a way that is just, it's indescribable. And I still will love her to this day. And it's very interesting. You know, in both LA and Miami, I worked with PR professionals who just believed in me. This PR person actually got me to walk in New York Fashion Week for a designer couple that she was working with. Who gets someone to randomly walk in New York Fashion Week? That to me was insane, but I digress. We'll talk about that in another video. So anyway, I start work at the news station, okay? And this show is very different from anything that I've ever done in the past. So for me, what I'm used to when I'm doing television shows, or excuse me, I guess when I'm doing news shows, is I'm used to being able to just kind of talk off the cuff. I am very good at that. Very good at that. I know my strengths. But in this environment, it was very teleprompter heavy, okay? Now, if you have never read a teleprompter in your life, let me break it down for you how it goes. Some people are very good at this, and that is why they continue to work at news organizations. I myself am not the best at it, you know, because I'm trying to read it verbatim. But the seasoned professionals know how to read it somewhat verbatim, but also put their own little twist and spin on it and whatever. I never mastered that because again, I'm used to talking off the cuff. I'm used to commentary. So getting in that environment, it was a lot for me to try to learn and to try to get better at. Not to mention, well, I felt like I wasn't always welcome there by certain individuals. And that's another story for another day as well. So I'm working there, things are seemingly going well, and I start to notice that they start to bring in some new talent, okay? Now, let me just break it down for you guys like this. I'm a black man, okay? There was a white host, he was a white male. One of our co-hosts was Cuban. She was amazing. I still to this day love and respect her so much. Like she is like literally the apple of my eye. But anyway, so then they bring in another woman who is a white lady, and she's good too. She's really good. Everybody there is good in their own different ways. And then she kind of leaves, and then the white guy is moved out of his role. And to be very honest with you, I never felt like he welcomed me there with open arms once I got there. Because even when, I won't go into that right now, but what I will say is, I just never felt welcomed by him. And I did let him know that, okay? So, he ends up leaving. And so then it's about January of 2019. At this point in time, I'm interested in YouTube. I'm kind of looking at it like I would like to get involved with YouTube, but I just didn't know what my end would be, right? So anyway, I had been feeling for the past couple of months like maybe this wasn't the role for me, right? To be quite honest with you, I did. Mostly because, again, I wasn't comfortable reading a teleprompter. I did not want to do that for the entire time that I was on air. And I just felt like, for me, I wanted more. And I didn't know what that more was. But I felt like God was telling me, you need to start figuring something out because my spirit man inside was telling me that I was unhappy, right? So it's me, the black guy, and my co-host who is Cuban. And I'm telling you this because it's gonna make a difference in just a minute, all right? So we're, happily working, and I'm hearing some murmurings behind the scenes about some things that may be going on, but I'm not really quite sure because there's always, on any show, in any news organization, you have always got to be on the lookout for the next person that may come in and want to take your job. I'm not even gonna lie. That's just how it is in news. One day you could be in and the next day you could be out, right? So I'm thinking to myself, okay, God, I hear what you're saying. I feel like you want me to do something different. And so I started kind of reaching out to some contacts at iHeart and just kind of seeing what else was out there, because the great thing I thought I could do was I could work on the show in the morning and then in the afternoons, maybe go into iHeart at the radio, right? But what I found out was, the position I was looking at didn't really pay that well. So that wasn't gonna work for me. So anyway, I said, okay, what are you trying to tell me, God? Like, what are you really trying to say? So one day in March, I will never forget this day. Me and my co-host, we get to work, we're doing our regular morning banter or whatever, and upper management is there. Now before this, let me tell you, they had brought in a white guy that they had brought in from somewhere, and they had him come and test with us for some reason. And he tested with us, and then we never saw him again. I knew that they had flown him in, but I did not know what that was for. Because in my mind, I'm thinking if they bring in somebody new, they're probably going to be testing him to maybe bring him in as an additional host, which I welcomed. But looking back on it, I now know why I feel like the other host that left was not so welcoming to me because he ended up being let go. Little did I know, we were about to be let go too, but we didn't know it, right? So here's what happened. We're at work, we're doing our thing, the show is good, it's a Friday, baby, it is going well. The show ends. I knew that management was there, but I didn't think anything of it because it wasn't uncommon for them to come in at points in time. So we get into the dressing room, changing out of our clothes. I'm thinking, it's the weekend, baby. We about to get it popping. We got a staff meeting. Okay. We get pulled into the room, into the little conference room where we have our little debriefings at. Me, my co-host, the producer, who is my friend, and the management. The management basically says this. I'm so sorry to inform you, but today will be your last day on the air. The show is going to be moving to another city, and today will be your last day, and here is your last paycheck. Now say what now? Now say what? Say what? You mean to tell me you could not even give me the benefit of letting me know maybe a month in advance the show is moving to a completely new city, okay? You guys may want to start looking for something else. Or do you guys want to come to this new city? But no. We never got any of that. No. They said, here is your paycheck. Now hit the door, okay? And I was like, what? I said, well, thank God it's Friday, okay? So me and my co-host, we just are sitting there looking at each other like, what just happened? And I'm looking at my friend like, friend, what's going on, friend? Like, I mean, what's the deal, friend? So here's the thing. Do I think that my friend knew ahead of time? Possibly. Most likely. Do I think that he was supposed to tell me? No. So do I think that he did what he needed to do because that was his job? Yes. So I'm not gonna begrudge my friend. There was a moment in time where I was definitely like, you ain't my friend. But at the end of the day, I understand now how the business works. And with what I'm about to tell you happened next, there was no need for me to be mad, okay? Watch this. So me and my co-host leave or whatever. We find out that the show is literally starting about a week later in the new city. Oh yes, it wasn't like they had to interview new co-hosts. They had already done that. Remember when I told you that they had brought in a guy to test or whatever? They sent him to the other city and another co-host that they had brought in to test another time, and they put those two people together, and both of them were white. So me, the black guy, and my co-host, who is Cuban, we was out the door. Okay, we was out the door. Now, I'm not gonna make this a race thing, but it was just odd to me and very interesting to see the replacements, right? And maybe the demographic called for a different flavor, okay? I don't know. What I do know is that this was actually a blessing in disguise. Let me tell you why. One of my friends, who a lot of you guys may know, Q, Quentin Latham, Funky Dineva, told me, you need to get on YouTube. I'm gonna tell you like this. A week later on YouTube, I had a video that went viral from talking about reality TV news. which is what I really wanted to talk about anyway. Once that video went viral, my channel got monetized. And when I saw how much I made from YouTube at that point in time, I said, you know what? Baby, I don't need to work in news ever again, okay? And let me tell you something. It wasn't something that made me rich, right? It ain't make me rich, but it was enough so that I could maneuver comfortably into a new space in my life, okay? And never look back. And so now the interesting thing is, and I swore to myself after I finished, I swore to myself, I said I would never work in news again. However, time after time, I've gotten the opportunity to work in news because they have seen what I do on my channel, okay? It wasn't that I went chasing after anything. This was kismet, okay? This was divine collaboration, okay? These were based on relationships that I had made within the news industry here in DC that I continue to nurture to this day. And it was based on the work that I had done on YouTube, okay? So what I want to tell you is in the story, yes, was I fired? Yeah, I was pretty much fired. They didn't say you're fired, but you don't have to have somebody say you're fired to know that you're fired. If somebody tells you, well, today's your last day, here's your check. There's the door. What does that mean? Okay, so for me, I'm thinking to myself now when I reflect back on this, I feel comfortable telling this story right now because what I want somebody else out there to know is sometimes when God closes one door on you, He is closing it so that you can walk through another, okay? And that is the reason why I don't look back at that situation with any amount of regret at all. I am thankful that I had that experience on that news show because it taught me a lot about television. It taught me a lot about television. It taught me how to produce my own segments. It taught me how to interview better. It taught me how television production works. And I am so grateful for that experience and that time in my life. I cannot tell you. But what it also did was it prepared me for my next, which is and has been being on YouTube and then using my relationships to do other things in television that have been more suited to what I am supposed to be doing. Baby, let me tell you something about how God works at the end of the day. So yes, my friend is still my friend, okay? Do I fault him for that? No. I feel like he was put in a very tough position and I know him and I know his heart. So I feel like I will never look bad on him about that. I will never look bad on the way it all ended. Do I think that it could have been handled with a bit more sensitivity? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, I am so thankful that I had that experience because it got me from LA to Miami and it's opened up a lot of doors for me. So listen, I say all that to say, again, if you have ever been fired from a job, if you're in the process of being fired or being let go, or you think you might be, this video is definitely for you because what I want to tell you is just because that door closed, another one is about to open. Trust and believe. All right. So listen, that's my story about being fired. Got plenty more stories in the industry for you guys. Also plenty of travel, lifestyle, and motivational content here on this channel. Please subscribe if you like this type of content and I will catch you guys in the next video.
Money in the safe is the safest route. Promise to my kids I'ma make it out. I run ends by the game slow.